Hello everybody and welcome to the Real Housewives Edit. My name is Elle and I am here to talk about the two loves of my life, editing and housewives. This is my first video back since the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills ended, and I feel this sort of strange weight lifted off of me. I loved this season because honestly it will always hold a special place in my heart because I got to know all of you, but there is like a darkness to that franchise. Not that I don't love Beverly Hills and not that I don't love what they give us this season, but still, I feel this sort of, I don't know, I feel light as a feather. Thank you so much for doing all the things, liking, subscribing. You guys know the drill. I'm so grateful for you. Honestly, I'm laughing right now, but I'm also like feeling like I'm gonna cry because we almost have 3,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for showing up and being here. It just means so much to me. Today we are going to be jumping into just a very small scene in the Real Housewives of Potomac. This scene, although it's very short, it really demonstrates the tone shift argument that I talked to you guys about. Tone shift is such an important part of editing. You can use tone shift with anything. You can use it for like emotionality. Also, you can use it for a comic effect. What's interesting what they did in this particular scene that I'm going to be breaking down is they did a little bit of both. And that's really why I just want to break it down because it's so interesting to me. But that's enough of me talking. Let's just get into it.
Good, just grinding it out. You know how it is. So
yeah,
I'm happy. Can't complain.
How's your house?
I love my new house. How's everything with you?
You know, it's interesting. You know, we've talked about this transition that I'm going through.
Is he here?
No, Michael's not here.
Okay, so basically what they're doing is kind of setting this scene, right? Ashley's kind of asking her PR person, who I think I love, but I did wonder if she was the one who leaked it to the press. Did anyone else think that? Okay. So we're kind of setting the scene. Ashley's going to sit at the table. This woman is asking her like, how are you doing? And she's kind of like, well, things are okay. Michael's not here right now, right? So we're really setting the scene. And us as an audience, when they kind of set the scene like that, remember editors have choices. They could just literally cut to Ashley sitting down and not, you know, talking about any of this, kind of doing any of this preamble. But they do that because it gets us sort of like, ooh, we're about to get like a story right now. Michael's not home. She's sitting down with her PR person, but also like seems like a cool girlfriend. So we should kind of be getting excited about this to hear a little bit more.
So does he live here?
Yeah, but I'm just taking it day by day, you know? Okay, so we have this statement.
Okay, I thought that was kind of a weird cut there. She said,
does he live here?
And of course we've heard, you know, Ashley talk to Giselle and the others about this whole scenario that like he does live there, but like they're not in the same room, like all this kind of stuff that's a little bit confusing. And then Ashley says,
yeah, but I'm just taking it day by day.
I believe was just like a strong cut. They cut out what her real response is. I think they cut out a lot of this, you know, conversation because that response didn't really match up with the question. I could be wrong. She could have just said that to sort of like push forward into the rest of the conversation. But I have a feeling they cut that because then it nicely transitioned into what they're about to do.
Just in the event that Michael does decide he wants to like date somebody or whatever, I do want him to have some freedom. You want to go to a strip club, you want to get some TNA in your face, like just do it at this point. I don't want anyone taking pictures of him, reporting back and stuff. But you know, like I appreciate it. I was thankful for it at the time, you know.
Okay, that was cute that they left in that thing with that PR woman saying, yeah, they're gonna do that anyway, regardless. Michael definitely has like a target on his back and people are just, I mean, if I saw him at a bar, I would literally be like, we're staying here, we're gonna wait and see who walks in to meet him.
Michael and I both feel like it's important to release a public statement because there will be so many assumptions and people just jumping to their own conclusions and this is it, yes girl, I knew it because of X, Y, and Z thing, and oh, I know this is true, did you hear? Da, da, da. And especially considering the things that, you know, Michael had done in the past.
Okay, so what I thought was interesting is as she says, you know, especially considering, you know, what Michael's done in the past, they bring up these articles, all of these gossip blogs, all of this stuff. And interestingly enough, they don't move through these very fast. They let them kind of hang on the screen like, do you remember this? Do you remember this? do you remember this? Because there's just so many instances of it. Notice that she's not talking under a lot of these things. And honestly, I think that's just the editors. Honestly, I think they're just being a little shady in this entire scene, and I'm here for it.
We just decided to get in front of it and put it out there for ourselves.
So this is the new statement we've come to that I actually really like. Okay.
What a big gulp.
Okay, so they did, you know, she says,
What a big gulp.
they could have cut that out, but they left that in. Obviously, part of the storyline with Ashley here is that she actually is like nervous about leaving him or doesn't want to leave him. This is just my personal opinion, but I feel like there's maybe some fear there because he's always kind of controlled everything. He definitely strikes me, and I don't know, obviously, but he strikes me as someone who's vindictive. I don't know if that's the right word.
Conniving, passive-aggressive, narcissistic, insecure, catty, jealous, cruel, hypocritical, self-absorbed, manipulative, fake, insincere, delusional.
Wow, it's
Not that he's like violent or like a bad person in that way or anything like that, but he just strikes me as someone who would be like, who would not play necessarily fair. And I feel like she knows that in her heart. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
Big gulp.
Almost 8 years ago, when Michael and I said I do, we anticipated sharing every single day together from that moment forward. Unfortunately, that is not our current reality. We have decided to separate. We are aware that there will...
Okay, so here where we start getting into the sort of tone shift, contrast, starting with emotionality and moving into some humor and some shade. So we start out, and as she's reading this, they put the flashbacks in, which is kind of a Potomac editor's thing to do. I talked about this before in a previous scene that I covered in Potomac. They don't just cover the whole screen with the memory. They actually put it kind of next to the cast member as they're talking about it, almost like a thought bubble, the mini movies that are running through her head. You notice that they do this sentimental moment with her and Michael as they're kind of hugging and kissing. The music is sentimental.
Unfortunately, that is not our current reality. We have decided to separate.
Almost like a lullaby, a little bit of like a heartstring tugger, if you will, right? Really giving us this feeling of like, oh, this is sadness, this is loss, this is emotionality. Maybe it's gonna get us to think about our own relationship, you know, happy memories, that sort of thing.
There will be many speculative views as to why we have made this decision.
Shut down your restaurant, shut down your event tonight, and this marriage will be over.
My restaurant.
Okay, so this is where we start to sort of venture into shady territory, though we're not exactly there. So she says, you know, there might be some speculation on why we are breaking up. And then they freeze frame on her and they cut to a thought bubble of her and Michael arguing outside of the restaurant. This was several seasons back when they had this like Australian restaurant together and they're arguing. So they're kind of like saying, okay, Ashley's saying, you know, there might be some reasons that you guys think it's about. And they start with a bit of an innocuous reason, which was like genuine like marital struggles over some restaurant. They're starting there. It's a very kind of innocent place to start.
My restaurant.
Fine.
But no one reason is the root cause of our mutual decision to go our separate ways.
And a girl came up to me and we ended up going back to a hotel.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so the sentimental music remains. We still have the sentimental music. Imagine if I took this sentimental music and I put it underneath a slow motion of Ashley and Michael, you know, running with their children, having the children at the hospital together, like all of that type of stuff. This music would fit perfectly. But it starts to sort of derail and have that humorous contrast when they start getting into this thing, like Michael sitting at a table with her and telling her that he brought strippers in Vegas back to his room without her.
I'm sorry. You did what?
While our romantic bond is broken, we also know that true
In that cut to like, I'm sorry, you did what? And then they cut out of it, and then they show this sort of two-shot of Ashley and her PR person. It's just, it's comedic already, but the music is lending itself to something more sentimental.
true happiness can only be achieved by continuing to work together and putting our hearts and souls into raising our two beautiful boys.
Party in Vegas.
I appreciate everyone.
Okay, so you guys are feeling it now, right? That is a hilarious cut. I am telling you, this cutting room, which is like where the editors are, they were crying, laughing when they were putting this together. I know for a fact I would have been. They still have the sentimental music going, right? She's talking about raising her two beautiful boys. And couldn't they have picked any of the other, I mean, there's so many clips that they could have picked. A clip of him holding his son or going bike riding with her. Like, we have stuff like that. But what did they choose?
Two beautiful boys.
Party in Vegas.
The most random and hilarious clip to be putting in this with that music. If this sequence made you laugh, this is why.
We appreciate everyone who has been a part of our journey and ask for your continued support by
And another part of the kind of contrast there is that Ashley is totally serious. The PR person is totally serious. So Ashley and the PR person are kind of in this one world, right? Which kind of goes with the music because she's talking about sort of sentimental marriage stuff. And then we, as an audience, are being let into this alternate world. So much of a contrast of what she's saying and what music is going on. And it should, you know, be providing us some comic relief.
respecting us as we go through this emotional situation.
I like it. But I do want you to be realistic to know that once we go public, no matter how nice and sweet we package this in a bow, the trolls are gonna troll.
Okay, so they didn't even allow any room to breathe. If you guys have watched my other videos, a lot of times when you're trying to build sentiment or when you're trying to build some tension or some emotionality, you'll let things breathe. So after she said her statement, they could have given a long pause before the PR person said anything. I even see Ashley's got like a little bit of emotion in her eyes. They could have punched in and shown some like more emotion on her or whatever, but instead they just cut straight to.
But I do want you to be realistic to know.
First of all, it's funny to me, but second of all, it just goes to show for me that the editors highly dislike Michael Darby. Here's my theory on it that will be totally unproven for the rest of time. I believe that production crew ride together. I know that there were allegations against Michael Darby. I don't know if it was found not, whatever. I don't know the legal situation. I don't know if these editors know that camera person, but all I know is that this edit right here, this is where people would be like, oh my God, this is an unfavorable edit to Michael Darby. They could have shown him as a good father, as a loving husband. They could have picked so many other moments. Yeah, they could have, and they decided not to for our entertainment, but also because I think they have their own bone to pick with him. I would definitely be the one voting for let's do a shady edit of Michael Darby because we have the footage to do it. It's not like we have to make it up or make him say something or, you know, lie to our audience. No, we have this footage. Let's show it. Let's make this more entertaining. No one needs to mourn the loss of this relationship with this man who's done nothing but disrespect his wife. But that's not what our fans are interested in. Our fans clearly do not like this man. Our fans clearly do not trust him with our girl Ashley. And I know he's the father of her children. I'm giving that respect where respect is due. That's why I'm saying there were moments where he's being a good father. I know she said he's a great father. They could have done so many things with it, but I just wanted to talk about sort of that contrast between the music that they used and the flashbacks that they used in contrast with what she was actually saying. I found it to be so funny, and I do think it gave us insight in how those editors feel about Michael Darby. And it could have something to do with production crew riding together until the end. So that's really it. This was just a really mini episode today, you guys, but I really wanted to cover this scene. It made me laugh. I watched it several times and I was like, those editors are amazing. I'm confused by the way they do these flashbacks where they kind of put it in the frame, but I feel like almost like all of the franchises maybe try to like compete with each other to make things like a little bit different and like try things. And I'm not like the biggest fan of this, but I'm curious what you guys think, especially because they have to freeze the frame on the person who's in the actual frame to show the flashback. It feels a little bit outdated to me, which is interesting, but I'm really curious what you guys think. This is not shade towards the editors because they're just trying stuff and having fun with it, but I see these little tricks and I'm just like, man, this feels like, I don't know, it feels like very 90s or something, you know? Anyway, you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. We are out of Beverly Hills, we are in Potomac and Salt Lake, so I'm going to be trying to cover as much as I can, and until next time.
I had a coochie craving for Michael.
Wow, it's